Hello again, class. Great to be back. Today, I am going over a true story that happened back in 2011 by Mount Shasta in California. It is a tale of a missing child. A tale of a strange encounter and possibly robots out in the woods. We'll get into it. So, back in September of 2011, near Mount Shasta in California, near the McCloud River, a couple, as well as their 3.5-year-old son, were out on a simple family camping trip. The boy himself is only known as John Doe, as the parents wished for the name to remain anonymous, especially because he was so young. They were camping by their tents, having great family time, and then suddenly, their child was just gone. The father himself described it as one moment the boy was there and the next, he was just gone. Naturally, as any concerned parent would, they immediately notified local authorities, and within the hour, a massive search team was amassed. People going out and searching for the boy, trying to find him before it was too late, before anything bad could happen. And they searched for 5 hours before a deputy with a K-9 unit finally found him. The boy was hiding in a bush, calling out for help, and the sheriff scooped him up, carried him back to his parents, and they were finally reunited. And the story initially ended there. It was reported as a heroic tale, in a way. A lost boy, lost out in the woods, but eventually reunited with his parents, and a grand old happy ending. But about 3 weeks later, we would find out more on the story. You see, the boy was visiting his grandmother, as I said, 3 weeks after the events took place. And suddenly, while talking with his grandma, the boy said that he didn't like the other grandma. Now, she was confused by this, as there wasn't another grandma in the family with her name, and so the boy said he got lost in the woods those few weeks back because the other grandma appeared and took him to a quote-unquote creepy place. And this creepy place was later described to be a cave that was filled with old items, old guns, old bags that were covered in cobwebs and dirt. And the boy was only able to realize that this wasn't his actual grandma. Remember, this boy is 3.5. He was only able to realize that this wasn't his actual grandma because of the way light reflected off of her. You see, the boy described it as when light hit her, it sparkled off of her. And the boy came to the conclusion that this meant that she was a robot. The boy saw other of these quote-unquote robots there. They were seemingly frozen in place, however, and seemed to have these horrifying, distorted faces. Eventually, thankfully, the other grandma took him out of the cave and left him at the bush that he was later found at. Now, other details that add a bit to the creepiness factor of this is that the grandma had actually been camping in that same area weeks before the events with the child happened. She had been camping in the area, and one night woke up face down in the dirt with a small puncture wound in the back of her neck. Now, on the surface, this doesn't seem possibly too too related, but she said it resonated with her in a strange way after hearing the boy's tale. And the parents, for their part, said that the boy had told them the exact same story after he had been found, but that they didn't want to talk with him about it anymore because obviously the event was probably traumatic for him and they just wanted him to move on, thinking that it was a part of his imagination to cope with what had happened, or just simply him making things up in the mind of a overactive 3.5-year-old child. But that is currently where our story ends. Now, there are a few theories hinting that maybe the wound in the back of the grandma's neck was an attempt on getting DNA somehow. Or perhaps maybe she just had an allergic reaction to a bee sting or a mosquito bite that caused her to faint. But what do you all think of this? Are there robots out in the cave in the woods? Is this just the imagination of an overactive child? Did somebody actually legitimately take him, but in his 3.5-year-old mind he saw the slight similarities of a possibly older person and just assumed it was his grandma? Did he make the entire thing up? Is this all just a coping mechanism of a 3.5-year-old trying to rationalize in his own way of what could have possibly happened to him that day? Be sure to let me know what you all think. But that's all we have time for today. Thank you all for attending today's lecture, and until next time.